What's up, Algebra 1? We've got our last video of inequalities. I know. Don't cry. It's gonna be okay. There will be other units. I know, it's upsetting. Okay, but we're gonna end it with a bang, and that's with compound inequalities. So let's do these notes and let's kick some more butt. Alright, so at the top, it's kind of giving our basic compound inequalities, and what that means is you've got two or more inequalities just written together. Okay, that's the definition. So even if you just look at number 1, you can see you got two numbers. You've got a 2 and you got a 4. So what is this? It's crazy. So when we graph it, it's a lot easier than it looks. Okay, so let's just go ahead and fill out our number line like we know and love how to do. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Well, what I want you guys to know is the inequality goes with the number next to it. So it's these together and these together. And you can see that both of those are going to be an open circle. So we have an open circle at 2, and we have an open circle at 4. Okay, well what this is saying is that x is between 2 and 4. So the smallest it can be is 2, and the biggest it can be is 4. So all we have to do is kind of connect the dots. And that's all we got. So the next thing that we're going to do is write it in interval notation. And we do that by including the two numbers. So remember, we got 2 and we've got 4. And then we're going to tell me, or you got to say if it has parentheses or brackets. And as you can see, both of these have open circles. So both of them are parentheses. So bada bing, bada boom, we graphed the first one. Now let's do the same thing for the second one. First step, let's go ahead and label our beautiful little number line. So I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh, I can count to 5. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Oh, I did it. So now, as we can see, I've got a -3 and I got a 3. So for my -3, that's going to be an open circle because there's no equal to. But my regular 3 does have an equal to, so that's going to be a closed circle. And then we can see that x is between -3 and 3, so let's connect those dots. Beautiful! Alright, so these are our basic problems, but for some of them we're going to have to solve. So that's what we're going to kind of jump into next. So if we look at example 1, whatever we do to solve and isolate the variable for x is what we have to do to our other two numbers. So for example number 1, you can see in the middle here, I've got 2x minus 1. Well, I got to isolate the variable. So we know that the first step is to add 1. So whatever I do to the middle, I have to do to the other two numbers as well. So I'm doing that 3 times. So this cancels out. Well, let's simplify it. I've got -3 plus 1. That gives me a -2. I still have my inequality sign. I bring down my 2x. My other inequality sign, and then 5 plus 1 gives me 6. Okay, so I got rid of the 1. Well, now I still have to get rid of that 2. This 2 here. So I've got a 2x. So we have to divide each thing by 2. So -2 divided by 2 gives me a -1. I drop down my inequality sign. I've got an x in the middle, which is our goal, is to isolate that variable. We did. We bring down the other inequality. And then I've got 6 divided by 2, which is 3. Okay, so here's what we did over here. We add 1 on both sides, then we divided each side by 2. So I'm doing it to each side. I'm doing it to the right, the middle, and the left. I'm doing it to all 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and do example number 2. So I've got this 3x plus 1 in the middle. Well, let's isolate that variable. So I got to get rid of that 1. So I'm going to subtract 1 on each side. So -5 minus 1 gives me a -6. I bring down that equality. I bring down my 3x. And then I'm doing 10 minus 1, which gives me a 9. So here's my new inequality. But my variable is still not by itself. So I need to divide by 3 on each side. So I've got -6 divided by 3, which gives me a -2. Drop my inequality sign. Remember, these 3's are going to cancel out, so I have x left over, which was our goal. Bring down this inequality sign, and then 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. Okay, well, let's go ahead and graph that over here. So remember, I've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So I've got a circle at -2. That's an open circle. And I've got a circle at 3. Okay, well, x is between -2 and 3. So there we go. Now let's keep going. Let's solve this one. So what we have in the middle here is m minus 4. So all we have to do is get rid of that 4. So this one's kind of an easier one. So if we want to get rid of the 4, it's subtracting in the problem, so we need to add 4 to each number here. And that's going to simplify it. So -3 plus 4 gives me a 1. Drop down my inequality, drop down my variable. My 4's canceled out, drop down my other inequality, and this one gives me a 3. So what I want you guys to see is we're going to transfer this, but we're going to have 2 different circles, because remember, this is going to be a closed circle, and this one's going to be an open circle. So I've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So I've got a closed circle at 1, and then I have an open circle at 3. Connect my dots. Well, now let's go ahead and write this in interval notation. So remember, I've got my 2 numbers. I've got 1, and I've got 3. Well, you can see with 1, it has that equal to, so I've got a bracket. And 3 does not have the equal to, so I have a parenthesis. Alright, so let's see. Let's jump to this next one. Number 4. So let's see. Let's solve it. So if we have this entire thing being divided by 2, that's what we have to get rid of first. So since that entire thing is being divided by 2, we have to multiply each side by 2. So these cancel out. So I've got a 2x minus 7 in the middle. 1/2 times 2 gives me a 1. And 5 times 2 gives me a 10. Well, I'm still not done because I have to isolate my variable. I got to get x by itself. So let's move over that 7. So add 7 on each side. So I've got 8 over here. 2x in the middle because this cancels out. And then I have 17 on my other side. Alright, last thing I have to do is get rid of that 2, and since it's multiplying, we have to divide on each side. So I've got 4, I've got my x in the middle, and 17 divided by 2 gets us an 8.5. Okay, so what I want you guys to do next is pause this video, graph it on that number line, and remember with our 0.5s, you can either label it as 0.5s or put it in the middle. Okay, so go ahead and pause it, graph it, and then check your answer when you're finished. Alright guys, hopefully you finished up with that number line. As you can see, it's right here. And I also wrote it in interval notation. Remember, it's great practice, and I hope you guys are doing the same. Alright, number 5. Let's go ahead and solve number 5. So as we can see, we have that same process here, but with the 9. The 9 is dividing every single thing. So let's get rid of that first. So because it's dividing, we have to multiply each side by 9. So we've got -3 times 9, which gives us a -27. And I have my 6 minus q in the middle. And then I have just regular 3 times 9, which is 27. So now we got to get rid of that 6. So minus 6 on each side, which we got a -33. And then I have a negative q. And then I have 21. 21. Okay. Well, the last thing I want you guys to see for this problem is we have a negative here. Well, we have to get rid of it. Okay, so we have to divide each term by -1. But keep in mind, anytime we divide by negative, we have to flip that sign. So we've got 33, flip the sign. We've got Q. And then we've got, what's that, 21? Yeah, 21. But keep in mind, we have to flip the sign and make it a negative 21. Okay, so here's our answer. Let's not graph this and just jump to interval notation. So my two numbers, I've got negative 21 and 33. So I've got negative 21, I've got 33. Well, my 33 goes with a bracket, and my negative 21 goes with a parenthesis. So there's my answer in interval notation. All right, we got one more that we're going to do. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Best for last, hopefully. Let's get rid of that 3. It's dividing, so let's multiply by a 3 on all sides. So 15 times 3 gives me a beautiful 45. Then I've got 20 plus 11 plus k, my inequality sign. And 19 times 3 gives me a beautiful 57. Okay, well, I need to combine some like terms here, because I've got 20 and I've got 11. Well, let's just combine them and rewrite it just so we know we're doing it right. So 20 plus 11 gives me a 31. So now I have 31 plus k. So I simplified that. Well, now I need to get k by itself. So let's get rid of that 31. So subtract 31 on all sides. 45 minus 31 gives me a 14. I've got my inequality sign. I got my k. And then 57 minus 31 gives me a 26. Okay, so here's my answer. Well, like I said, I'm not going to graph it on my number line because I want us to practice interval notation. So I've got 14 and 26 as my two numbers. Neither of them have the equal to sign on it, so they're both parentheses. Okay, so this is compound inequalities. Super important, not that difficult, just a couple more steps in between. Okay, so we're done with videos for inequalities, so be sure to check off lesson 7, do your practice, get a 5 on your quiz, ask questions if you need help. We've got a review in this booklet that we'll be doing here shortly, and then we'll have your boss, okay, which I'm sure you will all get 5s on because inequalities are awesome. All right, see you later. Have a wonderful day.